So, I'm going to be doing my top 10 movies of 2023. Not only that, I'll also be doing my top 10 worst movies of 2023. This is one of those first where I saw so many movies, both good and bad, that I was like, I have enough. It's a rare moment where I get to talk about, like, since I've seen so many movies this year, I will actually be able to talk about both the worst movies I've seen and the best movies I've seen. But first, let's go through the best. Now, full disclosure with all these lists. Sorry, adjusting the chair. Full disclosure with these lists. The big thing you have to understand is that I didn't see every movie this year. I didn't see every major movie this year. And if you think a movie should be higher or lower on this list, that's totally fine. I got no problem with that. And I'm always excited to see where you guys lie in terms of movies as well. You might also figure out by now, you probably already clicked on this video with the thought of, I already know this motherfucker's number one is, right? And I know, but we'll get to it when we get to it. And I got a good reason. Anyway, so, as always, this is just my personal list, and I'm always excited to hear what you guys have to say. And number 10 is a little controversial. Let's get into it. Number 10 is Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. I know this movie's kind of like some people either like it or hate it. I rather enjoyed it. I watched this on Paramount with my girlfriend, and we both really loved it. There's some great humor in here. Chris Pine really knows how to do comedic delivery, and everyone just plays off of each other so well. It's very reminiscent of how D&D campaigns go in modern day, where they're just bullshitting around and just not we're making fun of it as we go along. It very much captures the heart of that, and I really do appreciate practical effects. There's some great heart in this story. And honestly, I want to see more of this world of D&D. It was an enjoyable time. This is the one I think out of all of them is really, that got there? That got in the top 10? Really? It's my list, my rules. Alright, number 9, Scream 6. Scream 6 was one of the first movies I watched this year that I was really impressed by. It was actually, when I did a list halfway through the year, I talked about how high it was. It did drop off for a few reasons, one of which I saw other movies that were really good, or rewatched other movies that I was really impressed by, and really went, damn, I still like this movie, but it is going to drop a couple points down. But Scream 6 did really capture the heart of Scream. It really celebrates the franchise, even though it doesn't have Neve Campbell in there. I think the story of the sisters was really thought out. It does lose points as that it didn't have the heart to kill off major characters. We'll see for Scream 7, because Jenna Ortega and the other actress, I forget her name, have stepped down for multiple reasons. And reasons I'm not going to talk about. I know, that's too big of an issue for me to, and I'm just a dumb idiot on YouTube. That is way too big for me to really discuss in any way, shape, or form. So I'm just gonna not. I'm just gonna not. And personally, though, I think it's best for everybody if we just don't do the movie now. I think it's for the best we just don't do Scream 7. And honestly, you could get away with that, because how Scream 6 ends, it really does feel like you could just close the book and not remake, but yeah. And while I was hoping to see a holiday Scream 7, I think it's for the best for everybody, because now it's going to be tainted. No matter what you do, this film's going to be tainted by the controversy that happened. So I'm just going to I just think here we can stop here for a while. Anyway, so there you go. Number 9, Scream 6. Number 8, Saw X. Saw X was a movie that I had no expectations for. I was going because I knew people were going to want to talk about it, and I heard good things about it, but I didn't expect it to be that good. It might be, and I contemplate a lot, if Saw 2 or this is my favorite of the Saw franchise. And keep in mind, I'm not the biggest Saw guy. I am in no way, shape, or form the biggest Saw person, but this was amazing. It was a great character story. It goes back to that kind of gritty trap kind of era. And Tobin Bell, bro, how is he not get nominated for Oscars is beyond me. He's a fantastic actor, and he carries this movie through his emotion. It's a great story. It's a great character story too, and having Kramer back in these films was awesome. Also, I love the energy of when I was in the theater. People were like cheering at the after credit scene of seeing Hoffman again, even though no one fucking likes Hoffman. Everyone was like, "Holy shit, Hoffman's here! Awesome!" But that was I liked it for a movie as not not the biggest Saw guy. This might again, I contemplate between this or Saw 2 as my favorite of the Saw movies. So I had no expectations, and I didn't think it would be one of my favorite movies of the year. So I would call this the biggest surprise of the list, honestly, for me at least. Number 7 is Project Wolf Hunting. This is a Korean action horror movie. No one really talked about this movie, so I'm going to try to sum it up, and you guys should really check it out. I highly recommend this movie first and foremost. Project Wolf Hunting is about a prison transfer on a boat, but there's more to it than that, because on the boat there's this unknown super soldier, Japanese super soldier, this super soldier monster on board, and it's like killing its way through there. There's great action scenes, great horror scenes. It's kind of like if you put Die Hard and Overlord in a blender and hit puree. That's the best way I could describe it. This movie got released. It had early release in the year prior, but it got full release here on streaming in January. So I do count it as like a 2023 movie, and it was very well done. And hopefully we go back to that universe at some point, especially how the movie ends. But yeah, everyone's gonna be like, everyone watching this is gonna be like, the fuck is Project Wolf Hunting? Well, there you go. It's a movie I recommend. This is also the first time, in a long time, I've had a lot of international movies on my list, and I'm very happy for that. Anyway, so at number 6, Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was a movie that it was probably the best Marvel movie of the year. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and shit on the Marvels or Ant-Man. Almost said X-Men. Ant-Man 3. I'm not gonna do that. I haven't seen the Marvels, and I thought Ant-Man was just okay. But Guardians 3 was definitely like a beautiful swan song for James Gunn in the Marvel Universe and for the Guardians characters. It was a beautiful note. It was a great story. Did it feel like it was doing a lot? Yes, it did feel like it was doing a lot at for what it had. But I will say that this movie had a lot of heart. This movie had a brilliant amount of just great story to it. It had great story to it, great humor, and it's one of the first Marvel movies where I cried. And you know what scene I'm talking about too. I don't think I need to say much more than that. So here we go. Top 5. Here we go. The top 5. At number 5, Evil Dead Rise. Evil Dead Rise was a movie that was one of those films that I was excited for. It was a film that I was worried was going to get canceled by Zaslav for tax write-off, but then when I heard test screening was so good, they decided to put it in theaters. I was like, okay, let's see if you back it up. I really hope that you can back this shit up, and it backed it up. Great horror. There's the main two characters playing both the Deadite and the human character, the human protagonist. Awesome. There's some great camera angles. I think this movie does a great job at going beyond the cabin, and great body horror. And yeah, this movie proves that maybe you don't need Ash for the films. And I know that's kind of a heretical thing to say, but it kind of does show that you can do a movie without Ash and make it good. I mean, the Evil Dead quote-unquote remake did that too, but this kind of further proves it. And even Bruce Campbell said that. And now that Bruce Campbell has said that we're going to be getting more Evil Dead movies in the future, maybe 2 or 3 years down the line, I really have hope for it. I really have hope for the Evil Dead franchise. Anyway, so at number 4 we have Sisu. Sisu was a movie from Norway that was a dark grindhouse kind of movie of an old man just trying to get gold and also murder his way through a bunch of Nazis. And if it's one thing everyone can unanimously love, is watching Nazis die bad. This is a great, like, action sequences, brutal fights, and even more brutal deaths. But again, it's Nazis, so who gives a fuck? This movie wasn't really talked about a lot, but it was definitely worth giving, like, a shot at. This was a film, like, I saw the trailer and was like, oh yeah, I want to check this out. Like, I definitely want to give this a look. So, now we're at the top 3. So, number 3, John Wick 4. John Wick 4 was the movie that, like, at the start of the year, I was like, okay, every movie after this I have to stop and think, was it as good as John Wick 4? Or was it better than John Wick 4? That's kind of how I do things in my mind whenever I'm ranking movies from here on out. I'm like, was it as good as John Wick 4? And then it got knocked down a peg by another film, which we'll get into, and so on and so forth. But John Wick 4 was a 3-hour action masterpiece that Keanu Reeves did an amazing job, obviously. He's been at this for so fucking long. Great set pieces. It's a great send-off to John Wick. I would be saying that if it weren't for the fact that we knew we were getting another John Wick movie, which I feel like is unnecessary now. Now it does feel unnecessary, but I do have hopes for Ballerina, and maybe John Wick 5 will prove itself. So there you go. At number 2, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse took everything that was amazing for Spider-Man, for the first Spider-Verse movie, and doubled it, and if not tripled it even more. Great drama, great characters, spectacular animation. I would say that this movie, if this movie does not get Best Animated Film of the Year in the Oscars, and it loses to, like, some Adam Sandler Iguana movie, because it doesn't have any competition with Disney. I saw Wish and was like... Actually, I didn't see Wish, but I heard... Like, I saw, like, enough of it to go, oh, this is not going to be great, is it? But, yeah, I was like, there should be no competition for Spider-Verse this year. There's no competition this year for Spider-Verse 2. So, there's my number 2. Now before we go into my number 1, which again, I think you guys might know is a little obvious at this point, but before we go into number 4, before we go into number 1, why did I say number 4? Before we go into my number 1, I watched enough movies to talk about, like, some honorable mentions. Again, that's the list of that's how many movies I've seen. I can actually do honorable mentions and worst movies of the year. It's amazing. It's fucking great. It's fucking zippity-doo-dah-day, isn't it? So let's talk about some honorable mentions real quick. No One Will Save You. It was a great horror movie about alien abduction, told with very little dialogue on Hulu. It had some great tension. The aliens are scary. I've always said that, like, alien abduction films will always creep me out more than a haunting movie ever will. That's just how it is. Like, alien abduction movies will always scare me more, will always creep me out more than any haunting or demonic possession movie ever. Next up, Thanksgiving. This almost got there. Thanksgiving almost got there. It almost got on the list. It missed by a frog hair. But yeah, this was a fun movie. Great gore fest. Absolutely enjoyed it. Blue Beetle. I think the one good DC movie that didn't get any love, but I am happy that it's going to be part of the new DC universe by James Gunn. Cocaine Bear, just a fun gore fest, and it just, if you want to see a bear on cocaine, here you go. Renfield and Last Voyage of the Demeter, 2 Dracula films from Universal Studios, where I rather enjoyed both for various reasons. One was funny, one was a great tension-filled horror fest, and respects the original story of Dracula. Transformers Rise of the Beasts. I didn't like it when I first saw it in theaters, but that was, I accredit it to more of my theater experience, because I rewatched it at home when it was on Paramount Plus and was like, oh, it's actually not that bad. TMNT Mutant Mayhem. the new Ninja Turtles movie, Mutant something. I forget the sub thing, but Ninja Turtles, great animation. It really lives up to the Ninja Turtles being teens, and I rather enjoyed it. I rather love this movie. Anyway, and finally, Haunted Mansion. Why is that movie so low? Why is that movie rated so low is beyond me. And I will say that, like, it's not perfect, but it was enjoyable, and it definitely works as, like, your kid's first horror movie. Like, that's where I really think it shines, is, like, it had some legitimate scares in there, and it very much feels like a movie that in a few years from now, this will make kids a new generation of, like, horror fans in the future. Just like how we got it from, like, all the creepy shit we saw in the 90s, right? So, you probably wondering what my number one is, right? Like, we've all kind of, like, we've been talking about, like, what is the number one? Like, what could possibly be the number one movie for Mr. Multiverse? I wonder. You know what it is. Don't even act stupid. You know what the fuck it is. It's Godzilla -1. And I gotta be real with you guys. I didn't want to put it at number one, because I thought about it and it was like, originally it was really Godzilla was going to be number 2 and Spider-Verse was number 1, because how well Spider-Verse did. But as I went back and watched the movie again, and Godzilla -1 had heart. It was beautiful. This is the scariest Godzilla has been. It's a great human story, and the fact that this movie was only made on a $15 million budget, and American budget films run into the tens of millions, the 20s of millions. I don't know if that's a proper sense, but, like, it's amazing with what you can do here. I look forward to seeing what Takeshi Yamazaki and Toho does next. But yeah, it wasn't just because me Godzilla fan, me put number 1 because me not have brain. No, that wasn't the case. The fact of the matter was, I fucking love this movie. This is a great film, and yeah, it was absolutely brilliant. So there you go, guys. That is those are my top 10 favorite movies of the year. I know I don't have Barbie and Oppenheimer on the film. I don't have the thing that was signature cinema, that saved cinema. I'm sorry, I didn't see them, and if I watch them now, it feels disingenuous. I'm fucking sorry that I don't have Barbie and Oppenheimer on here. But whatever, it's my list, my rules, and I'm always curious to see what you guys have on your list. So yeah, just comment below, let me know, what are your top 10 movies of 2023? And yes, I know, Wonka and Aquaman 2 and some other Oscar bait movies are out there now. I don't care. Those I'm gonna go watch Aquaman 2, but it wasn't a movie I was like, oh yeah, Aquaman 2 is gonna be so great, I have to wait until that comes out so I can put it on my list. No, I saw all the movies I wanted to see. Fuck it. And again, my list, my rules. But anyway, so yeah, once again, I'm not saying this is like the definitive list of 2023. I'm just saying these were the movies I enjoyed personally for the year. So yeah, you guys tell me in the comments below, what are your top 10 favorite movies of 2023? Even though 2023 is still, like, we got a month of it left, but fuck it. I was just like, fuck it. Anyway, so stay tuned for my top 10 worst movies of the year. Other than that, I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time, The Multiverse.